In this tutorial, we will set up a Pro Tools 10 session to edit on a bar beat based grid. Right now I have a Pro Tools session open and it's currently set to view minutes and seconds in the uppermost ruler. So first off, we want to show bars and beats. The uppermost ruler will reflect whatever is in the main counter. So if I change the main counter to bars and beats, watch that upper ruler. Now that also reflects bars and beats. We can add a sub counter if you like. Sometimes it's nice to have minutes and seconds so you can see how long your piece is while looking at bars and beats in the main display. Some other rulers that are good to see when you're editing on the grid are the tempo ruler and the meter ruler. They're currently hidden, but if I click here, I can show the tempo ruler. It shows that my current tempo is quarter note 132, and the meter ruler. This shows how many beats are in one bar of music. Right now it says 4 beats in one bar of music. I can change the tempo here by clicking on the plus sign, choose a location, and choose a tempo. There's my new tempo. Now notice that the tempo shows here with this red arrow. If I click on the conductor icon in the transport, that will change. And next to the red arrow, it now says manual tempo. So with the conductor off, the tempo ruler is ignored and the sequence will run at the tempo that is listed in the transport. If you want to do tempo changes, you have to have the conductor enabled so you can put tempo changes in the tempo ruler. Otherwise, you'll only run at one tempo for your entire session. For the meter, you can do the same thing. You click the plus sign, choose how many beats you have in a bar, and choose where you want that meter change to begin. Okay, another setting that's very important when editing on a bar beat grid is to be in grid editing mode. Right now we're in slip mode. So I'll click on grid, and notice I have a choice between absolute grid and relative grid. If I choose relative grid, which is in a pinkish color here, if I have an event that's slightly off the beat and I drag it, it will snap to slightly off the next beat. If I change to absolute grid, no matter where my event is currently, if I slide it, it will snap right to the next beat. Most grid editing is done in this absolute mode, so we'll leave it there. Finally, let's look at the grid value and the pencil grid value. Right now it says grid is equal to the value of a quarter note, or as it's shown here, 1 beat. If I click on this arrow, I can choose different note values and watch the grid in the edit window. If I choose 8th note, now there's a grid line in between these two. So there's a grid line every half of a beat. If I choose 16th note, there'll be a grid line every quarter of a beat. Now if I take my grabber and take this clip, I can slide it and it will snap to those different beats. If I know I want things just to be on the down beat of each beat, I can choose the quarter note. Now it's going to snap to that quarter note or the next quarter note. If you're in this grid mode and you want to temporarily disable the grid, you can hold down the Alt or Apple key and whatever you're dragging will slide freely. I'm holding down the Apple key now. As soon as I let go of the Apple key, it goes back to snapping to the grid. Alright, there's a separate grid value for the pencil tool. And why would you want that? Let's say that you're editing your clips and you like to slide them to each quarter note beat, but you want to enter some notes that are on the beat and maybe halfway in between the beat. So I'm going to switch to Notes View, and let's take a look at the value for the pencil tool. Okay. So I can have it follow the grid, meaning the pencil tool will do exactly what I've selected in the grid. Let's see what happens here. If I put the pencil tool in the middle somewhere, notice it jumps to the closest beat. If I put it near the end, it'll jump to beat 2. If I change the grid here to 16th notes, now I can put in on the 16th note like that.